And here we are, guys. As I said, the map is ESV Ohana, and at the top left part of it is our last player for TeamLiquid.net, representing them in this match today. We'll see if he can do it. He needs to come back and win 3 games to have any chance of sending Team Liquid onto the next round in the winner's bracket. It is Liquid Hero. And down the bottom right, we have our red Protoss player from the team SlayerS, having a lot of success lately in offline events. Can he translate it over to some Team League action? It is SlayerS Alicia.
Interesting that we're saying that, too, because about, well, a year and a half ago, it was the exact other way around. So, as Alicia was having a lot of success in Team League events, but wasn't finding all the success in 1v1 events, but certainly has put those concerns to rest now. Map is Ohana. It's a pretty interesting map for PvP because the map is so big. You know, I mean, usually that doesn't matter when you get into PvP because pylons can warp in units anywhere. And this is certainly a pretty aggressive map with a lot of cliff line and stuff like that for Blink Stalkers. But if you're able to stabilize after that initial aggression, as we see a 12 gate out of Hero, 13 gate out of Alicia, if you're able to stabilize after that, then it tends to lend itself to very long PvP games.
Yeah, there's a lot of temptation, as you said, to go for Blink Stalkers on this map. It can be good with all the cliff space, just like you mentioned, but in the end, it really seems like the players that go Colossi, I feel like, have a lot more success on this map. Just kind of going off of the games I've seen in PvP on Ohana, Colossus play, if they can hold off that early Blink play, seems to be the way to go in the late game. And that's kind of, you know, true for nearly any map for PvP right now. If you can get a lot of Colossi out, you're probably going to do pretty well, unless it ends up being kind of a crazy base trade situation. But one thing that I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to see, because we do have 2 very quick gases from Alicia, is possibly some Phoenix play.
Now, here's the thing. Oh, Alicia's very good at that, by the way. Was one of the guys who kind of popularized that for a while. We've been seeing double gas before cybernetics score a lot out of Protoss players recently, but then they put 2 on each gas. This is a full 3. He's going to have an immense amount of gas saved up. Could be for that very quick Phoenix, as you were talking about. Of course, there is always a threat of Dark Templar whenever you see something along those lines. So I saw double gas, didn't think anything of it, but with 6 harvesters and gas, we can already see it starting to accumulate very quickly.
Yeah. Now, Hero has 2 gas as well. Does he have 3 in each or 2 in each? Okay, yep. So this is kind of more common. Actually, that's 3 in one and 2 in the others.
But he put up his second gas after cybernetics score was started, so a little bit more normal timing for him.
I don't play Protoss. That's it.
That's quite all right. Well,
need to
that's
start.
A Sentry coming up now, so we'll see if Alicia decides to prioritize those sorts of units. Of course, does have Cybernetics Core researching Warp Gate technology. Only 1 available Chrono Boost, and it's going to units at the moment, though. Hero, on the other hand, not Chrono Boosting anything. Okay, looks like it is going to be Warp Gate technology, and there is that Stargate.
Yep, there it is. So Phoenix play will be the order of the day. You know, like I mentioned, I feel like this is getting to be more and more common in PvP, and it can be pretty good. Now, the question is, will this be a Phoenix expand of sorts for Alicia? It's a good map for that. Or will it be some sort of like Phoenix all-in, you know, like Phoenix 4-gate, where you just kind of lift up enough of their units that you're able to just kind of run them over with your gateway forces. We'll see. Twilight Council hidden a little bit for a Hero there. It could be Blink Stalkers, but I don't know, man. My DT sense is kind of tingling a little bit. We'll see.
Well, he is already making quite a few Stalkers as well, so I'm going to lean on the side of Blink Stalkers, but
it's a safer bet.
Yeah, it's also the more boring bet. So
that's right.
And Stalker taking a couple of hits there. That is one ballsy Zell, and he's going to have to run back up. We'll see if we can get a trap of that Stalker. No, not going to be able to get in there in time. Blink is indeed coming up now for Hero. Alicia throwing down his second gate and starting to move into that Phoenix production. Yep,
and yeah, so we'll have to see how the Blink play matches up against the Phoenix play this time around. Alicia in a position where if he's able to surprise his opponent with a lot of Phoenixes, that could do some decent damage. Blink Stalkers, of course, are going to be pretty good against Phoenixes in general, as they do shoot up and can move quickly. And I like that Alicia making sure that Hero doesn't get in the base. Doesn't want him to see anything right now. Wants to hide those Phoenixes for a little while.
And we'll see.
Very little while.
Just until right now. And yeah, that's actually going to prompt the other Stalkers to say, nope, I'm getting out of here. And they do run away. One Stalker does go down, however. And it is an expand, a Blink Stalker expand out of Hero.
Yeah, so I feel like this really isn't going to change a lot of what Hero's doing. I mean, he's still going to have a decent amount of anti-air. He just needs to be careful that he's got enough Stalkers around that if Alicia does try to lift one of the Stalkers, he's got friends there to help defend. And it looks like he does. Alicia, yeah, trying to kill that Stalker, but needs to kind of pull back. Takes some damage on that one Phoenix. Needs to wait until he has a bigger group to try to do that type of thing.
And he himself is expanding now, so we do have expansions out of both players and enough energy to pick up a couple of probes here. And that's one that's going to bite the dust. Of course, Phoenixes do a lot more damage against light units, twice as much as a matter of fact, so they can rip through probes very, very quickly.
Yep, so the idea is that you're just annoying with this, and oh man, Blink is done. Will he get a Phoenix? Yes, he does get a nice Blink from Hero to take out that relatively expensive Phoenix. At the very least, not something you want to lose at this point in the game.
That's very true, and Nexuses are just about to finish up. Pylon was taken out, forward Pylon taken out of Heroes by Alicia, so he's certainly able to supply block his opponent for just a little while and make sure that the loss of the Phoenix wasn't as significant because he did a little damage in return as well. But as it stands, oh, Hero just transferring his probes over, and that's going to be a couple of dead units.
Yeah, now Phoenixes do kind of regen enough energy to do that lift or graviton beam, I guess you could say, pretty often. It's a pretty quick thing to get energy on, enough energy to harass those probes annoyingly. Hero trying to pressure a little bit, might get a sentry. Whoa, might get 2 sentries. Very nicely done.
Oh, wow. Doesn't lose a unit there, and he actually took out a Zealot as well, so a lot of damage done there without anything in return from Alicia.
Not bad at all. Needs to be kind of careful. Ooh, I like this by Hero. This is cool. He is going to go for what's probably going to be Charge Lot Archon in this case, which is going to be an interesting addition after getting those Blink Stalkers, something that Alicia's maybe not expecting. A couple Stalkers getting taken out there. Another one getting lifted, though. Alicia suddenly getting a little bit aggressive here himself, and Hero forced to pull back just a little bit. He's got that forward pylon in place, though. Can always feed back a Phoenix, I suppose, but Charge Lot Archon is something that Protoss players have always kind of played around with at least a little bit.
And I like what PvP is becoming. I mean, we have a couple of High Templar out now, but as we saw, Immortals were already being created for Alicia, so he's got this cool Stargate Robo army with these Phoenixes that are just always flying around the map, picking off units, taking map control. Very cool stuff. And, of course, back on the other side, Hero, of course, with Templar, with the 4 gates up, certainly in a pretty strong position himself.
Not turning those into Archons just yet, but not making Storm or anything as such, getting that Robo Bay up instead. So interesting. I wonder what we're going to see out of Hero. This is a little bit different than we normally see in PvP. That pylon does get scouted here.
Yeah, so it's going to fall in just a second.
Yeah.
Alicia, though, continuing to buffer his Immortal count, going up to gateways number 3 and 4. Stargate is laid dormant for a while, as often happens with this build, so not going to be too many more thrown on here over the course of the game, but it's certainly a good backup tech option, but it did allow him to safely expand, which is what he wanted.
Yep, I feel like right now Hero's just kind of waiting. He's waiting until he gets that Observer over there, and then he's going to decide what he wants to do with his Templar. You know, does he want to make Archons, or does he want to go for Storm and then try to use that on the army? Alicia going for, okay, looks like he will decide with Storm. All right. Robotics Bay on the way for Alicia, so he's going to switch over to Colossi. So how this kind of ends up matching up is that if you can do enough damage with the Storm to their gateway units, you can leave those Colossi relatively unexposed and then handle those with the units that you have left, you know, presumably kind of pulling apart their army in an engagement like that. And with the Robo Bay already out, too, for Hero, he's got the ability to do things like Storm Drops, too. So he's setting himself up for a pretty strong late game here. But Colossus play, you know, like I mentioned at the start of the game, is always kind of the quintessential strong way to go in a longer PvP.
But Hero does have the potential to do some very real damage before those Colossi get out in force. So, as we can see, 4 more pylons coming up now for Alicia. Doesn't want to have to worry about supply for a while, as he has those very expensive Colossi, both in terms of supply and resources coming out now, and a second robotics facility. So he's just going to try and power ahead with an immense number of Colossi. We've seen this work quite a bit, but like I mentioned, that's going to give Hero the opportunity he needs to start to inflict some damage, and we'll see if he can do enough damage before the Colossus count gets way too high.
Certainly could. He made 1 Immortal, I believe, and then a Warp Prism, so it looks like it will be a Storm drop here. He may decide to pick up, like, 2 Templars and an Immortal, possibly, with that, to do some harassing. We'll have to see what he's planning on doing. Looks like he's going to take a 3rd as well, so, yeah, the possibility of harassment's looking even more likely here. Moving out across the map just to kind of see where his opponent's at, get a feel about what's going on out there.
Very cool stuff, and Probe does sneak off to the side, but it's immediately going to get picked off by a few...
well, he saw us anyway. Might as well kill him.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see here. Did he pick up on the pylon? He did, so Alicia knows that some sort of an attack could be launched through there.
And that 3rd base is really what Hero would like to kill off at this point. He's getting +1 weapons and charge, as well as another Immortal. no sort of harassment sent out that I can see just yet.
Ooh, good job. Picks off one of those Phoenixes there, and
never mind.
finally,
There we go.
yeah, it looks like this Warp Prism is going to pick up on the next Nexus. Already units being swung in for Alicia, though. Hero going to find it difficult to get things done, but it looks like he's going to blink into the main at the same time.
That is going to be absolutely crazy. Look at this Storm Drop here, but that will... Whoa, it kills a lot of probes.
That worked way better than I thought it was going to. Blink Stalkers making their way through right now as well. Unfortunately, they're going to have to get out of here very, very quickly.
Yep, he's going to get a little bit of a scout with that and then blink out and get away, kill off a couple more probes. He just killed a ton of workers, 15, 16 already dying, most of those at the natural expansion. Now, he did lose 4 Templar and a Warp Prism to that, so it was costly, losing some Stalkers as well, but that's going to help him out a lot. Look at the probe count right now, 55 to 34, and this Nexus taking some fire as well.
And Hero is just all over the place. I mean, very characteristic Hero. Wants to stretch his opponent's multitasking, but it certainly worked very, very well. He's going to have to get out of there, loses a couple of Stalkers, but should be able to get out of there with without any more losses and safely establish his own third.
Yeah, man, Hero's looking pretty good. That drop was awesome. I mean, it didn't do...
That was cool.
It probably didn't do quite as much damage as he was hoping. You know, he didn't probably want to lose all 4 of those Templar, but it worked. I mean, he got himself some good leeway there. I mean, Alicia, I feel like this counterattack is a little bit forced, actually. I feel like Alicia's kind of like, well, I better try to do some damage. He did some damage to me. I need to make sure to even things up. This is a mirror matchup, but Hero's got a pretty strong army at home. This may not be the best decision by Alicia, although he does have 4 Colossi, so...
Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, and Hero blinking out of there, just taking a little bit of damage. Charges finished for his Zealots, and it looks like he wants to engage, dropping Storms down on top of most of the forces, hitting a couple of feedbacks as well on the Phoenixes is what it sounded like, but the Colossi are now incredibly exposed, and Hero just steamrolls that force.
Yeah, the Immortals doing a great job as well. The Colossi all dying, only one left, blinking ahead, taking that out. Storms working absolutely perfectly, leaving those Colossi very vulnerable. And those Zealots are not going to be making a big difference. GG! Liquid Hero taking another game, bringing Liquid again to just 1 win away from tying things up against SlayerS.
It is 3-4, and we're moving into game number